This is Combat Overview. In this series of videos I go over just that, the combat. To be a visual manual in a way and to give a more in-depth look into what a game has to offer, because too many reviews gloss over gameplay, calling it a button masher or giving it the blanket statement is like DMC. Shing's mechanic and the way you attack are very interesting. Now I've seen this done in 3D beat 'em ups, but not in the traditional side-scrolling one. So when you flick the right thumbstick you attack in that direction, so the diagonals and in front and behind you. And attacking the enemy will have you do the 6-hit combo, and it could seem small to attack in all angles, but it's actually pretty cool because it lets you keep the pressure going and the action flowing. Alright, so up on the right thumbstick is our launcher. A quick flick up will launch them while we keep our feet grounded, and holding up will send us both up into the air. And the same rules apply. We can attack in all angles, letting us catch an enemy that's a bit higher than us, or maybe an enemy that's starting to fall out of a combo, so we can angle our attacks to catch him for a few more hits. Very simple, I know, but something about it made these little situations a bit more interactive. But alright, once they fall out a little too far from our range, pressing up again will do a mid-air launcher, extending our air combo, and if we press down in the air we'll do the slam attack. I'll go into what down does while we're grounded, but real quick. So they play with this attack mechanic a bit by having motion inputs, while one, so if we spin the right thumbstick, you'll do the spin attack. A good way to shred enemies, but it's also a cool follow-up off a flick launcher. And yeah, you can do this in the air as well, having you spin downwards ending that air combo. Alright, so down on right thumbstick will block. I did like the idea, reminded me of For Honor a bit, but in Shing I didn't feel it as much. In For Honor it's good since you're primarily fighting an opponent one-on-one, but since you're fighting a whole group of enemies in Shing that all have fast attacks and require some quick reactions, I felt like the travel distance was too long for just how hectic the fights can be. So luckily we can block without one. It's very snappy. Holding block you can walk around slowly. It auto blocks in all directions no matter which way you're facing, but take too many hits and your guard will be broken. But yeah, blocking can also cancel our attacks at any point, which you know what that means. It makes things low committal so we can easily block at the right timing to parry enemies' attacks. So after parry we get 3 unique follow-ups. You can move the right thumbstick up, doing an attack that'll hit nearby enemies in close range, while left to right, the same attack, covers ground in a single direction. So we got a little trade-off between the two. Now, nothing on down, because that'll block, which cancels our follow-up, but also means we can chain parries if we need to. So in R1 we got our dodge. Again, it'll cancel our attacks both in the air and on the ground, so we can dip out whenever we need to. Solid iframes, no perfect dodging, but yeah, it'll let us reposition ourselves with ease. Speaking of that positioning, so if you're barely off center from hitting an enemy, the game will snap you in front of them, which helps keep things going. Feels kind of backwards because not covering these first, but onto the face buttons. So on square we got this kick, use as crowd control and to reposition enemies. So if a crowd of enemies are moving up, you can use the kick to keep them busy. You can even use it to send enemies into environmental kill setups, and this can be easily cancelled too by dodges and blocks to go into parries. X is our jump, no double jumps, and we already went over the air stuff. But X does have another use, so if you get knocked down, if we press X a bit before you touch the ground, you'll tech and be back in the action. And believe me, you want to get this down because it really does make the combat lightning fast. On triangle we'll do a taunt, which is pretty cool. It'll aggro enemies instantly, so be ready. Especially if it's a crowd because oh man, they're about to come after you. Alright, so on the HUD we got the super meter, land hits and it'll fill up. And when we want to use it, click R3 and we can do 3 attacks by using the right thumbstick. Can do a strong combo to the left or to the right, stronger launcher with up, or this crowd control blast on down. Bottom gray bar is used for high score stuff. Now this little blue bar is our dodge cooldown. Yeah, our dodge is on a cooldown, but don't worry, its downtime is basically non-existent. It's just there so you won't exploit them iframes over and over, which makes sense. And all these little pips on the side are just the power-ups we picked up. You got stuff like extra range on your attacks, bombs dropped each time you dodge, one that'll let you dodge without waiting for the cooldown, and one that'll let you armor through hits. And at the bottom corner we can actually switch to other characters with the D-pad. There's not much difference with them, they all have the same playstyle. I just seen them as lives for the most part. If one goes down you can switch to the next one and keep playing. But yeah, even the enemies here do play off the idea of different angled attacks. These will toss on a shield covering certain sections. So if they shield the legs you can't launch them anymore. If it's a torso, then forward attacks are blocked, which means those supers and parry follow-ups will be denied. And the head would just means no high attacks. Another enemy that'll zoom at you doing this multi-hit spin attack. You can't block this for too long because your guard is definitely going to be eaten up. so the only way to keep him away is to parry him multiple times. Another is one who will stay back tossing bombs at you, and if you decide to get close, they'll dodge your attack and leave a trail of bombs behind them. So you gotta learn to bait that out. There's even these flea man looking enemies that'll explode if you get too close, but if you decide to stay away for too long, they start to wind up this jump attack and bring themselves towards you. And if you notice it, you can actually parry it, and if you do, they become your explosive hitting other enemies, which can set up some pretty sick plays. So yeah, the enemies are pretty fun. They make sure you're paying attention at all ranges and will either try to cover the screen or try to corner you, or ones that'll play with the angled attack concept. Oh, also about the enemies, you'll see a color next to their life. That'll let you know what power up they'll drop. And a cool thing about that, so killing an enemy with regular attacks will have them drop the regular amount, but finishing them off with a super will have them drop more, but if you kill them with the parry, they'll drop even more. So it's a cool little system there. But yeah, if I have to say one bad thing about Shing, once you know the game's mechanics and your moves and all, well, that's about it. There's no leveling up characters, no moves to unlock, and since each character pretty much plays the same, there's no new playstyle that you can learn. It's pretty short too if you decide to just run through it once, but you can replay all the missions to master them, beat each stage fast, with style, and all while taking little damage. We also got some side challenges testing your skill too in each level, but yeah, even then, it was a blast from start to finish because there's a super fun and solid base here. Plus at the end of the game there was this little extra bit. Hopefully it's teasing a follow-up. Definitely made me excited for whatever they got cooking up next, if they are, because I really did like what they did with Shing, so much that I platinumed it within the first 24 hours of starting it. But yeah, I say check it out. I think it's a very refreshing take on beat 'em ups, and the controls can seem off-putting to some, but if you sync up with it, you enjoy it.